there we are. The red button is on. Hello everyone. Tonight we're live with a slightly less than right-wing stream. I've got a few friends of the channel on once again for a chat, a nice, hopefully friendly conversation about a less than friendly planet that we're all living on.
The planet. Let's think about this. The planet itself is fine. The people who are right now the curators of the planet. That's the part of the problem, as it were, too.
Well, indeed. How are we all, everyone? Do you want to all introduce yourselves?
I'll go first. Summer and a Geek. I'm sore and tired because, I just this morning I got up at 5:30 a.m. I got up way earlier than I needed to, and I went to jog for 5 kilometers in about 48 minutes. I didn't look at the time, but I jogged all the way through, which is what I was wanted to do. Also, hi, I'm Narco-Syndicalist, but also this arm is still sore because I got shot twice with my COVID and flu shots.
A good thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Tak, who's next?
I suppose I can go next. Well, I'm a little bit worried that you've got those shots. I mean, haven't you heard that people are implanting all sorts of tracking devices in them lately? I mean, next thing you know, you'll be sent right to the FEMA camp. Hello, everyone. I'm Lapis, also known as the Effeminate Degenerate. Socialist, feminist, all-around progressive. Nice to be here.
I did say, don't worry, I will not make the joke of oh yes, my autism is increasing. Because a friend of mine did that before, and the look on the technician was like this.
Yeah, I'm sure they get it all the time.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, coming from on high.
Yeah, but I did say, I got my 5G now! Anyway,
Great.
Next.
Good afternoon.
Teglin, shouldn't we go in the order of the avatars?
So that means Teglin next?
Sure.
Yes.
Okay. Well, hello everyone. I'm Teglin, and I'm an eco-socialist, and it's great to be here talking with you guys.
Mm-hmm. And last but certainly not least, Troy.
Hey, I'm Troy. I'm the token Australian. So it's not really much to say. I'm sort of like the God-fearing Christian, but I am concerned. I'm concerned about the ugliness that's in the world at the moment. So that's what's got me clutching my pearls. But I am lucky to be in Australia because in a 10-minute, let's say I drive for 10 minutes, I can go to the ocean or I can go to a wetland. There's so many places I can go for a walk.
So long as the wetlands are still here, because who knows if there's going to be a data center installed right next to one of those wetlands, and it will drain that wetland just so that we can have a AI generated image of Jessica Rabbit with 3 boobs. Because of course that's all what we wanted when the internet was invented. That's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, gosh, AI, that's a decent place to start, isn't it? What is happening with it at the moment? I'm a little bit lost as to how poor things are going with it. I saw a video on Blue Sky today of, and I think it was on Twitter as well, but less on Twitter these days. So a journalist has been handcuffed, and so her hands are obviously behind her back as the supposed police officer who's detaining her. And she's also holding a microphone to her mouth and speaking. So she, in this picture, has 3 arms, and this video has been circulated quite widely on social media. And I'm thinking how, it's quite a glaring, it's not even a particularly subtle AI video. It's quite obviously not a real set of events that's happening. But enough people have seen it that they thought, yeah, I'll share this to my friends, yeah, I'll give this a watch. It's getting a little bit alarming. Trying to find an image of it.
Well, in some ways, I haven't watched the exact video that you're speaking of, but AI content farms have become very ubiquitous because it's a very quick way to generate content that a lot of people can see. And AI it's not just in that field that it's been sort of infiltrating. We've also seen the way it's been used to sort of replace workers as a way of interacting with people to pretty mixed to negative results. I don't know if you've seen the orders that people, where they try to order a drink and the AI is like, so what would you like to drink? Over and over and over again, getting the order wrong or giving them outrageous amounts of food. And that's just one of the examples of AI failing to do tasks that are perfectly manageable by humans, mostly because companies are trying to cut costs and look innovative by embracing a new technology, whether it's actually successful or not.
Mm.
Like, it's interesting, isn't it? Because that desire to be more efficient is something which a lot of people on the sort of surface value of it would agree with. Let's make our planet more efficient. Let's try and sort of cut costs and do things quicker than a human can. But it's been managed by obvious fraudsters and con artists, right? It's been managed by people who don't have the ethical requirements to sort of think considerately about what they're actually doing with tech. Go on, you're going to say something there?
Okay, for this AI thing as well as like the just like the tech bros and everything else is all like that. I recommend the podcast like Better Offline about Ed Citron, because like this is the guy that's just like this is his whole mission. His whole just like how Dave Prutrell has the We Hunted a Mammoth, where he just like goes into like the trenches of like the manosphere and like sees them the worst things. Like these guys are seriously asking: is it gay to date women? Is it gay to kiss women? Is it gay to touch your own butt? What that? Ed Citron is that kind of like passionate, like hyperly focused, like a journalist that like runs a podcast Better Offline, and is like following the like tech bros like the entire time as well, and like has like several like podcasts as well too for like cover that sort of thing too. So it's like if you want to like a good handle on the latest of like what the hell these AI tech bros or these tech bros are up to, something like that, Ed Citron would be a good Better Offline podcast, be a good resource for that. And it's just like the tech bros is like it's like even like Peter Thiel wonders what would have humans around, or what would be necessary for humans around, and he has difficulty answering that, and that's scary because like at least economically for sure, but sometimes politically he's the guys that are controlling the levers of their society.
Well, indeed, right? Like it's so even just a phrase like content farm, like you said, Lapis, it's such a dystopian realization. Like that essentially tech billionaires are trying to move to a future where they don't even need to interact with the masses like ourselves. They sort of just want to, as quickly as they can, shift to the virtual, shift to the world of AI slop. Because then they don't even need to put up with, the sort of the obvious disdain most people have for them. They can just generate someone who will appreciate and like them, like Musk does with his AI that he has to edit every other week.
Oh, Grok or Mecha Hitler, like it once said it was.
Indeed.
It's
So that
artificial intelligence. It's like it's almost like we've given up on the human species, our human capacity for common sense and our own intelligence. That we're farming out, all of our thinking to this, whatever the hell that is. I can't stand it. Like the idea of so many things being replaced by. I don't think that the type of work I do could ever be replaced by AI. That's so I'm safe in that respect. But I miss that warmth, especially when they have those self-serve checkouts, because like when you're in a bad mood, that means that you're giving yourself bad customer service. It means that, because I've always got that joke saying, "Oh, the person who served me, the server was a real cunt," and then I say, "Yes, it was a self-serve checkout." So I miss that warmth.
Yeah. Self-deprecating viewer. Yes, that's the best. I think these tech bros, like Sam Moulton, they hate people, which is why they want a world with like a lot of AI, because they don't want to interact with anyone, or they claim that they do, or they claim to know what the people want, but like no, they don't. Steve Jobs did know what people want. He was intuitive in that sense, well too, but he was also like kind of a monster in his own right, like a total deadbeat dad. Listen to the behind the bastards on him, but it's just like, unfortunately, it's like the people at the head of the tech billionaire like world, something like that, are people who like just hate other people.
Indeed, right? You're going to say something like this?
Yeah, Troy, your comment reminded me of this video I watched of Hayao Miyazaki watching AI-generated animation of this person flopping around lifelessly because the AI generator hadn't been able to figure out how to replicate pain in its process of movement, so the body would kind of endlessly rotate and writhe about on the ground. And it was amusing to the people who had created it, but to Miyazaki, he sort of saw it as an insult to his disabled friend. But he also remarked, I feel like we've given up in ourselves as a species. And I think that we could maybe see that sort of growing misanthropy in a lot of avenues, not just AI, in terms of our politics, in terms of the way human suffering, it isn't just the joke, it's greeted with active joy or indifference.
I kind of like just listened to like a House of Pod episode, another very good podcast to check out, and they were talking about like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He was just like one of the worst persons you can have as the head of the Health and Human Services like thing, that the whole organization in charge of the whole health is like that. And you shouldn't have like armchair psychosocialize like anyone as well too, because like no, that like dude, like analyze someone has to be done by a psychiatrist, and the other party has to be a willing participant. But they kind of mentioned how like, well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. lost his dad at a very young age, but also he was like, even when like Robert F. Kennedy was around, he was an absentee father as well too. So it was kind of like, maybe, who knows? You never know, especially with the brain worm. Remember that like he only brought up the brain worm himself so that he can get out of something that he said to his wife in the trial of like the divorce or something like that. I'm missing the details. So like that's like, remember, that's why he said the brain worm is like, he was excuse. He was like the brain worm's the scapegoat. So there's that. But I think it's like they mentioned that like, what if Robert Kennedy Jr. is kind of like a nihilist and says like, fuck all this as well too, and it's kind of bringing us down with him as well too, burning the world in that sort of way. But again, it's like trying to sacrifice someone from a far distance is like not something that like I generally try to do or sort of do as well too. But like, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, like the that idea of linked to what Lapis said about giving up, like it's so the nature of the sort of slop that's produced as well is so there's something so alienating and vulgar about it, which is hard to sort of put your finger on, because obviously the tech has improved to the point that you can recognize what's going on and that it can generate a lot of stuff which is similar to life, but it's got none of the warmth of an actual human doing it. It's got none of the authenticity, and in many ways, as in the video, which I can't actually find, I think it's been deleted actually off Blue Sky, which suggests that there is still some shame about posting obvious slop, but you know, there's an element of just rubbishness to it which people are sort of fed up with. But as you sort of hint at, the lack of Lapis has.
But hopefully Lapis will be able to join back up as well too. Sometimes like people just like accidentally click the wrong thing, and it's like or like the cap will just like claw out the like a cable or something like that.
Yeah, it could be a network issue.
Exactly, Teglin. Fingers crossed. Hopefully Canada hasn't been like just yanked off the internet for whatever reason. But no, hopefully things are all good.
You know, speaking of networking, Amazon really has a big role with AI and giving contracts to police and intelligence services to sift through mass quantities of data that have been vacuumed up by our intelligence services that are spying on Palestinian activists, that are spying on anyone that is like so-called sanctioned by the Treasury Department. And this really upsets me, because so many people are on that list that are not terrorists, but just have a tangential connection to a state entity. You know, it could be somebody that's just supplying concrete to a construction project in another country, and they don't realize it, and now they're completely debanked and banned from doing banking with the United States. So AI has been at the forefront of all of this debanking and evaluating risk for banks and reporting up to the Treasury Department and prosecuting people who are innocent because they're being accused of terrorist financing. AI has a lot to do with that, and AI is responsible for a lot of Americans being debanked because they don't meet a risk profile for the bank, and that's because of an AI algorithm.
Yep.
That's
also,
a really good point, actually. Like the way that AI could be used for so many really good things, and instead is used just to sort of weaponize against people in sort of living fairly non-offensive lives, right? Like the sort of people that, as you say, Teglin, have been flagged up by many of these programs are doing very little but question the way states operate, right? So I jumped in before you, Geek. Go ahead.
Because also AI algorithms determine should someone be qualified for healthcare. That also happens a lot when Luigi Maniongi allegedly shot and killed that a CEO of the United Healthcare company as well too. That was also one thing that people have looked into is happening amongst a lot of health insurance companies, that they're using the AI algorithm to determine that if they should approve this case or this claim or not as well too. And people have been denied just because of AI as well too. And also from a consumer perspective as well too, Google, I'm searching Google to find out what's the capital of Tennessee as were too, point back to the earlier conversation before we went on air. But it's just could I please have the option to not include the AI overview? Could I opt out of that?
It's incessant, isn't it? It's on all the apps, all the search engines. Even just when you're typing something on your emails or something, it's giving you automatic suggestions, giving you an AI overview. Microsoft Copilot, I think it's called. It's incessant. Who needs it all?
I miss the paperclip from
Clippy.
Windows 95. Yeah, I never thought I'd say that.
He had a personality, and you know what? He has some decent suggestions, and you have the options of just turning off Clippy and disabling Clippy as well too. It's just if you find him annoying or intrusive at some point, you had that option to thank you, Clippy. I don't need you as well too. But at least something about the fact that he has a personality and eyeballs and that sort of thing too. At least personified or anthropomorphized a computer program, but also was just a computer program. So it's it's not AI like it is now. Again, it's a silly thing, but I'm an anime fan, so Hatsune Miku. And she there are actual musicians that are creating music that Hatsune Miku uses as well too, but we also all know that she's a Vocaloid. She's just a digital avatar as well too, but we don't have a problem embracing her as well too, because I guess there's a personality there. With AI, it's just we're all afraid of Skynet and that sort of thing too. It's kind of like these people read all the dystopian cyberpunk from Phil K. Dick or other writers and stuff like that. But these tech bros think, but that world that seems awesome is you really think the world of Brave Runner is awesome? You really think the world of Brave Runner is awesome?
Indeed, I like that, Teglin, you've put a nice sort of thematic image to match the title of this video. But I think you hit the nail on the head, Troy. Clippy, whilst annoying, never felt like a breach into our sort of personal lives and a threat to sort of world ecology.
No,
because
we could tell her what to do. It's just you could just press the cross and say, okay, you can bugger off now. But then I can't speak into my phone saying, can you please stop listening to my conversations?
Yeah.
And then
exactly.
looking for things that I might want to purchase, and that's for real. Because there was one Christmas about 2 years ago where we were talking and we were having conversations, and we noticed our phones, our Facebook feed, was trying to advertise us things that we were talking about. And I said, when did I consent to for you to be listening to my conversations at the family dinner table.
I think I forgot which of my podcasts I've been listening to. I listen to a lot of podcasts throughout the day, so it's kind of all meld together. But one of them, they talk about how the reason why all these companies are kind of going to the apps instead of the websites or the programs built too on the desktop of the programs or something like that is you can adjust those things on your own as well too, or a physical media and that sort of thing too. But on the apps themselves as well too. No, you cannot go into the apps and deprogram these things or do these other things well too, because that will break the IP laws and the copyright and that sort of thing too. Because that's true for a lot of us. If the company says we own your soul now, if you agree to our terms and services, that company will own our soul because okay, I want to use this product, I want to use this app, I want to play Fortnite now. Yes, Epic Games, I will waive my right for to do a class action lawsuit like that. No, that actually did happen. It's just damn it, Epic Games, I want the free game, so sure, I'll agree to the new terms of services and new terms of conditions built too, which means I waived my right for a class action lawsuit against Epic Games built too.
Yeah. And the way that I think the commodification of the services have changed as well. Before, you're putting in things because you genuinely think it can help the person using it. Now it's some profit-making scheme for a corporation to benefit from, or as we're sort of seeing, a way for the states and for moneyed capitalist interests to spy on the citizens that live in the states. I'm going to share very quickly my screen because the very well documented relationship between AI firms and big tech and such, and the current increase of policing of people in the United States is quite well documented. The Guardian penned this article recently, or Johanna Bien, and it's an alarming read because it essentially documents how much has been sort of colluded by these tech forces to help the US and help Trump in particular with his far-right agenda.
Oh, Palantir. Peter Thiel, is a big dork because he's a big Lord of the Rings dork, but he named his spyware company off of the scene stones that the villains use. So it's just kind of he was projecting there, honestly.
There he is, look at him.
He is also the guy who's he's very afraid to death that he wants to try to live forever as much as he can, and that's actually a common thing a lot amongst the tech pro billionaires. There's one of them, Brian Johnson, that takes his 17-year-old son's blood as a supplement, thinking that will reverse aging.
What? Some of them are so miserable. Why do they?
I think
why do they want to be alive?
Probably because they spend all the entire lives to try to get rich as much as possible that they miss living, so they are taking all their riches to try to live forever. But watch a Highlander movie, you kind of see Queen sayings. Who wants? Okay, I gotta make sure not to sing because I'm told not to sing. But who wants to live forever?
Yeah, you sing all you like, geek. But yeah, it touches on the point, Troy, doesn't it? They are a lot of them living lives that we probably not really want for ourselves, right? Just sat on social media all day, tweeting, or what do X call it now? Posting, Xing.
Well, it's better than truthing as a word too.
Doing that all day, flying around from place to place in your private jet with no loved ones or anything, just you and your money. But that's the point of capitalism distilled, right? To better yourself over your fellow capitalists, to be the wealthiest at the end of the day. And it's been well documented that this is an alienating process. And whilst, of course, having the money to eat the best food and live in a mansion and whatever, to some extent is nice, the point that you get when you're you're approaching having $1 trillion, some of these people, Musk is 400 billion at the moment, and the others are not that far behind him. It's just a number at this point, and they're just chasing it and chasing it and chasing it, and not realizing that they're actively ruining the planet and also making their own lives a bit shocking. in quality.
Yeah, and I don't know what to do about these like people either. It's just like do like mutually praxis like build community like protect each other as well too. Something I should do more of as well too. I just give money to my disabled friends.
Yeah, because speaking of the with work and the type of occupations we do, because I saw that I came across this tweet. It was it really troubled me quite a bit because they were talking about men and the type of high value men and whatever. So it comes from a lot of the traditional, very reactionary type people. So it's both men and women, and women who wish to stay at home and have the men support them. And they said, okay, what do you think about males who work in professions that were traditionally female dominated? Like, that's because I'm a classic example. So going into the disability care, and perhaps Owen can relate to that as well. And they said, oh, I don't know, because you've been you work around women so much, then your soy levels might go up. And the other thing that was like, I sort of rolled my eyes at that and thought, okay, that's funny. But then they started talking about, okay, maybe that's okay, but as long as you're climbing your way up, so you're not just going to be like a regular worker the whole time. You'll go your way up the ladder so you can become a manager or a supervisor or something like that. And I just thought, because I already earn, like more than enough money for myself just with the day-to-day work that I do in that sector, just in the direct care. And I just thought, and for people who support, traditional values, there's something very sad about reading something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think like you say, just the lack of any empathy and warmth for others, it just sort of transmits across so much. And the sort of work that I do and you do, and I think a lot of people do as well. It's not as though it's just the paid stuff. It's also just like when you put effort into your community, like and think about others in a way that isn't just I'm gonna sell something to you, or I'm gonna be richer than you at the end of it. Like an actual human to human, how can I help this person in their day beyond just giving them material goods or trying to be one up on them in the stock market or whatever. And it's I think deliberately lost when you're trying to make more money than someone. Like if you're humanizing them, then it is harder to justify trying to make a profit off them, as I think is indicated by the fact that again, I'll share my screen. You look at people that like this, some of the richest people in the world, and it's they've all had to join a really right wing movement in MAGA, in the Trump and such, or maybe not join, but certainly put themselves in the ideological position, put themselves in the circle of the far right. Because to have an ethical mind, to have a truly equitable sense of justice for the world, you've got to question the capitalist way of doing things. You've got to question cutting the funding for the most vulnerable people in society. Cutting just education in general and trying to get schools shut down and such. That can't fly if you're thinking about others in a better way. So. A bonus mini game here, by the way, to sort of add to the last one. There are 5 people on the screen, sort of in the main sort of screen. Can we name them all? Do we know who all these people are?
I can name 3 of them for sure. That's it.
How about you two?
I can only name 2.
Teglin?
I can only name 2.
Okay, so if I'm left, So from left to left is like Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO like Facebook, and again, who created Facebook so that he can like rate the like which of his like students his classmates are hot and not as well too. That's his original creation of like Facebook, and he like break into the dean's office in order to do that as well too. And then in the very middle is not Lex Luthor, unfortunately, because this person is real, even though he looks like Lex Luthor. I actually would honestly like talk with Lex Luthor, hang with Lex Luthor more than like the person in the middle. That's Jeff Bezos as well too, the like CEO of like Amazon as well too. And then like over the maybe hold on, maybe the like in the far right is like the fascist like Elon Musk. Let's not forget he like threw out the like Nazi salute twice as well too. Oh, my heart goes out to you. It's like I would not make that symbol. I would to like learn the actual like American sign language like symbol for like I give my heart out to you. It's like not doing the way he did on the inauguration too. And he also has like several children like with like 14 women to like spread his seeds, that sort of thing. But maybe okay, no, wait, no. I just remember. I thought I was going to guess like for Swami in between Jeff Bezos and like Elon Musk, but it's like no, I don't think that was like for Swami. He was one of the candidates for this primary of the like Republican ticket or the fascist ticket.
He looks like Vivek, doesn't he? But that is not Vivek. Ramaswamy, I want to say.
Yes.
I forget how you say his last name. It's not him.
I think so.
So obviously you've got Facebook, Amazon, Tesla, Twitter and such. This person here, can you see my? You can see my mask.
Yes.
This person here is the wife of Jeff Bezos, whose name I could not tell you off the top of my head. So obviously they have become quite wealthy as a result. This one here, if I tell you that they own Google,
that makes sense.
I believe his name is Sundar Pichai. But I think this, to some extent, illustrates another sort. And obviously, you can imagine there's some very wealthy people in the background who aren't as prominent as these five, the tech dominant ones. But I think this also speaks to the sort of silliness of our current economic system. How many of these people are relevant to our lives, really, when you think about it? I mean, we know they have a lot of money and they own the systems that we're sort of stuck with. But does Zuckerberg have any influence on the day-to-day workings of Facebook? I mean, Musk obviously tweets a lot, and there's a lot of people on Twitter, but is he responsible for actually maintaining the upkeep of the site? This individual here, none of you could think of straight away, and yet Google is one of the most prominent sites probably on the planet. Like there's a layer of separation between those with the money and the capital and the actual service that their tech is performing. And obviously the fact that tech is separate from the sort of human labour to an extent because it's the computer, it's the actual system. If it was a public utility, like say a road or like water
or libraries,
libraries, it could be maintained in a way that has democratic control, that benefits everyone, that has an element of democratic operation, but lets us improve things through the operations of that system. We've got to wait for Musk to basically decide that he, whatever tantrum he's having that day needs to be change something, or we've got to wait for the stock market just to fluctuate a bit for anything to happen to some of these companies, if they happen at all. And yet these are the people that have the money and wealth to dictate how the shape of the next year, decade, century even goes, which I think is a little bit alarming.
Yeah, well, this is not too like surprising because like there's a Darren Garing book that I read. It's called Fascism and Big Business because like Henry Ford was just like always says anti-Semitic, so it's not surprising that like he got his name in like Mein Kampf and something like that. But like around like Europe, Germany and Italy and something like that, there's a lot of big businesses that like side with the fascists because they were the ones in power. So like seeing like those like billionaires that like own the tech world as well too siding with like the current regime is like not surprising at all as well too. Or like how like but I think I just remembered that like part of the reason that like Elon Musk like bought Twitter as that sort of thing too, or is that like he probably shows you how like insulated these people are that like they've been surrounded by like yes people or that sort of thing too, or like the other people of their class and that sort of thing. So when like Elon Musk like just went on Twitter as like a famous celebrity as well too as anyone else, we kind of all see he's like, oh, you really are not as like smart as we like you like us to think that you are, or like you like to think that you are as well too. And we're going to call you out on your bullshit because, well, also as Twitter, you're in the internet commons as it were too. And so because if he like got so butthurt by like the insults that he was like getting on Twitter or something like that, that's probably that people have theorized that's why he decided to buy it as well too, so that he can control it and then like his own like tweets can be boosted as well too because he owns it as well too. And it's just like these kind of people that like I don't know, it's just like never like they were never like a meta of like a never had to like be called out for like their stuff is like that. I'm sorry, but you're like a poo do stink as well as like the rest of us.
Yeah, do you think that Elon Musk did anything good for the platform X, or was it a complete disaster?
I think it's a complete disaster, especially how he would like run it. Like, why change it to X? Twitter was like a recognizable name, a recognizable brand, and the symbol of like the Twitter bird was very recognizable as well too. And change it to X because when people search like X, they're not gonna like think social media as well too. And it's caused a lot of people to think like searching X video on Bunny X videos like that. Oh wait, that's not what I intended to search as well too.
It's a political thing too, right? Twitter, for many, was like a shorthand for some stereotypical left-wing activist. Like there's the stereotype of the young student who dyes their hair and believes in radical politics and wants America to apologise for things it's done in the past, which are all obviously valid positions, right? Like it shouldn't be lost on anyone that the person that says America is doing bad things is not wrong. But because like a tech billionaire like Musk, especially one who's been so radicalized and sort of cultivated a right-wing mindset through spending excessive amounts of time in sort of toxic spaces online, they can't have that as their sort of chauvinistic, masculine, I'm in charge now. For ages, his profile picture was like a massive rocket. He's sort of always tweeting about like how amazing his cars are and how much money he's got and how much of a success he is. It's of course he's going to slap his own sort of take on it, but and he does it. And I think as well, someone like Musk who has this sort of idea of like, yeah, he's a big man, he's going to lead the human race into a brighter future. In his mind, X fits that sort of tech future where that has been realised. But for the rest of us, who, as we say, had Twitter as something else in our minds, it's just like a space where you tweet out stuff, and had it as like quite a very open space as well, because I think I remember reading that around the time of the Arab Spring, sort of 2010s and such, loads of people in the Middle East and in North Africa and such were using Twitter to just share images of protests and share images of how many people wanted genuine positive social change. And when you're someone at the top of society who stands to lose from potential change, you don't want that to be the case. So, and especially as well, so in an American context, the Black Lives Matter stuff, if you're someone who is threatened by having people protest about social justice, then of course you're going to try and stutter and shut down one of the main sites they do it in. And in some ways, even though they've lost a lot of their user base and people have left to different sites and such, they've stopped a major platform for organising and for gaining sort of social movements, which ultimately helps if you're a fascist like Musk is.
That makes sense.
Even Trump himself had somewhat of a bit like before he entered into politics and he was sort of in that celebrity popular culture. He actually had more of a sense of humor. I mean, he even went on a show where he was roasted. They roasted the crap out of him when he went on the Comedy Central roast, and they made all sorts of jokes about him. And the one thing that's interesting about that is on those particular roasts, they're allowed to have one caveat, so like one area they can't touch. And so most of the celebrities who get roasted, they'll say, okay, please don't go after the kids. That's usually what they say.
Yeah.
But then, Trump's thing was I don't want any of the comedians to claim that I have less money than what I do. So I was like, okay, you can call my daughter a whore. You can do whatever you want, but just don't talk about my bank balance.
He feels so inadequate about how his low bank balance is built too. And yes, I'm making a direct references to his penis as well too, because like that's kind of is sometimes what it comes down to these men is built too. Oh, they buy the fancy cars or like the penis rocket ships like Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk because like it's a pissing contest, honestly, amongst them.
It's a big insight into man, isn't it? That would be what he'd sort of say. I read somewhere that one theory is that Obama at some president's dinner or some event made a joke about him, and that sort of made him quite fixated. I think you could also point to the economics of the situation with the way capitalism is predicted to go, as per many scholars, and also just history repeating itself.
Yeah.
Right, like it's not as though it's the first time there have been economic hardship and such. The Republican Party, which had lost the last two elections, needed something to kickstart it. Trump, through a bit of luck and also his own sort of unique take on politics, and the fact he had the far right growing support behind him, gained the ground in the party, is now the party, and the rest is history, right? And I think that part of the shift from the guy who, because obviously like Trump, as we sort of are learning through many sources, it's not as though like he was completely fine and then suddenly he entered politics and was now bad. Like he's always had some pretty glaring issues.
He wasn't. I mean, he obviously was never really he wasn't exactly someone who went to church. Let's just say, but he at least had some modicum of a sense of humor.
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. Like the way when you're in like fascist-y circles, like you get radicalized into having to filter everything through the we must destroy the enemy, we must be the best, and everyone else is scum. And you can even see that in his sort of tenure, like the sort of stuff he was saying in 2016 has devolved massively to just rabid open fascism now. But what's important as well is that in a liberal capitalist sort of when things are going right, like you can, if you're some like billionaire, the system in place is not against you as such. You're not going to be threatened by sort of neoliberal low taxation, not very regulated. He's still a billionaire, right? So of course to some extent he's happy to go on daytime TV and maybe not daytime, but like go on a roast and have jokes made about him, because it's at the end of the day, he's still going to be paid probably to go on there, and he's still going to be alright at the end of the day. Whereas now, I feel like because the world now has seen the legacy of it, he's not going to be like, let's say somehow there's an election in 2026 and 2028, Democrats win both, and they expand the Supreme Court and they undo lots of the stuff he's done, and then he's back in court for any of the dozen things he's done, and this time they actually prosecute him. He's not going on
I
roast
hope
anymore.
so.
He's going to prison.
There was a time that Merrick Garland was like dragging his feet on like the January 6th thing as well too, because like he didn't want to like, I forgot the exact the reason he gave, but like didn't want to seem partisan about that as well too, and like because of how like he was like so late into like actually like bringing forward those charges as well too, it just ran out of time by the time the election happened as well too, or the Supreme Court decision. I just trying to remember details about that specifically, but also it's kind of like telling about like Donald Trump is like. He was like, "Oh, I didn't know that people liked it had like negative views about me until I did The Apprentice, appeared on TV." And it's just like, but again, by appearing on The Apprentice and then being a TV personality as well too, I think that's kind of like got him the idea to like go into politics as well too, or treat politics just like television as work too, to his like advantage, I guess, in some ways. but also it's like it kind of like we said before, so like how like the billionaires don't mind like the fascism going around because they still could be billionaires and still have the position of power. As like I think Lenin has this quote as well too, that like capitalism in decay is like fascism, and I point to like what's happening in the USA right now. That's a perfect example. Strangely enough, I wanted like a kind of like throw a curveball, but like give it a sort of analogy. Hey, bear with me. So think about the internet discourse of like pineapple on pizza, and I agree with like the Fortnite streamer involved Jake. He says like no, listen. It's not that like the people who love pineapple on pizza, like me, are super passionate about like pineapple pizza's the best thing. You're wrong for like not liking pineapple on pizza. Yeah, here's pineapple pizza right now. No, it's just like I just love pineapple on pizza. That's it. But like the other side, those are the people that are just disgusted by pineapple on pizza. Why would you put that on pineapple pizza? Pineapple does not belong on pizza as well too. That's where the discourse is actually on that sort of thing too. Silly internet discourse, of course, like is hot dog a sandwich or it's like cereal soup. No, cereal's not soup. Hot dog, I can see the argument for it being a sandwich, blah. But it's just like, so it's the people who hate something are driving the discourse. And when you think about that, that's like most of like conservative politics. They just absolutely passionately hate something as we're to for whatever reason, their own bigotries or like the existential dread. It's like, well, if trans people and Muslim people are accepted in society as like normal, what does that make me a white cis het man as well too? Or like they afraid that like as again existential that like, oh, if I'm a white person is like a minority now, the majority is going to treat me just as bad as I treated like the minorities as well too. Which is like, no, most people will just be fine. They don't want revenge. They just want equality or equity.
And sometimes it makes it.
Contact me.
That makes it very difficult to talk with people about socialism and class politics sometimes when they're so hateful about trans rights or any other issue. Any other intersectional issue that we care about. But I think that some of them can be brought over to the side of the working class and think about joining unions and labor struggles too. And eventually they'll be led down that path of thinking about broader issues of intersectional justice.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, I think Geek was sort of saying it a second ago, right? Like, MAGA and the sort of Trump movement is so built on what it's not, what it hates, what it has to go against, and sort of dedicate itself. Like, we've got to eradicate all the enemies of America. We've got to make America amazing by kicking out all the illegal immigrants and whatever the lie is this week. But it's not something you can sustain because eventually, as fascism sort of shows, you have to pick a new group to go after. You have to keep firing up the vitriol by declaring a new enemy for the state to persecute, and his
sort of politics from the sort of politics that comes from Trump. It's obvious to say that he's not very popular with the left. That's an understatement. But what we also have to consider is there are certain portions of the right, maybe the more let's say the middle of the road Christians, middle of the road conservatives. A lot of their values are being betrayed by the whole sort of MAGA cult as well. It's because if you sort of the sort of God-fearing Christian type people, like I know that I'm one of them, very like middle of the road in terms of politics. You just got to look at your own value system, and you can see that it's being eroded and betrayed by someone like Trump, or just a lot of the followers who exude an unkindness. And then there's also the Democrat Party as well. Like I also have a problem with how much they've conceded, like how out of touch they were, especially during the election time. They thought, let's bring out celebrities and celebrities and celebrities, and they seem to have no idea about the everyday people. Like the only celebrities I trust are probably comedians, because at least they travel around a particular country and they probably interact with their audience a lot more. So maybe they know a little bit more about the pulse.
Mm-hmm. Except that some of those comedians agree to do a comedy show in like Saudi Arabia, and like okay, it's one thing if like they're just going to a club in Saudi Arabia and do a stand up routine there. No, this whole thing is like presented by like the government state of like Saudi Arabia, the royal family, who in fact like tells you of like you can't say anything about this, can't say anything about this, can't say anything about this, and can't say anything about this too. And like, and something I'm not surprised. Like, I didn't have like high opinions of Pete Davidson to begin with as well too. So it's like it's like, come on, wait a minute. Didn't your dad died in like 9/11? It's like, yeah, but they gave me a big paycheck. It's like, okay. But then again, other than Bill Burr, I didn't have a high opinion of all those comedians as well too. Ew. But like,
yeah, I just want more of the people who are on the right, because they always have this idea that the people on the left, it's collectivist, so we treat people as these collective blobs or whatever, whereas on the right, we treat people as each person's an individual. So if they talk about a particular racial issue and they might ask white people to talk about it or think about it, they say, well, I'm an individual, like what does my skin color have to do with that? But then on the flip side, they see something happen. So there's a few prominent TikTokers, like let's say there's Lily Tino and there's someone like Dylan Mulvaney, because Lily Tino, like obviously, like I don't like anything this person does. It's the kind of the way in which she's speaking to service staff or whatever. And but then thinking, okay, this is obviously an individual I don't like, but then saying, okay, we're individuals, we don't treat people as part of a group, but then suddenly going to the trans people saying, okay, what are you going to do about this person? And they say, well, what can they do? They're just out there living their own lives, and so they sooner or later there's a collectivist mindset that comes in. Like, I don't believe in the claim that they think, oh, well, like we're all individuals. There's a certain hypocrisy that comes from that.
We are all individuals, but they're also a part of society. It's more as kind of like that sort of thing where it's just like, hey, listen, if like you shit your own pants as well too, yeah, I guess you're right to like shit your own pants, but like don't be surprised if the other people have said like, dude, you shit your own pants, that stinks. Can you please clean that up as well too? Oh, so it's kind of like that sort of thing where it's just like, listen, your actions could potentially have like effects against like others as well too. But I don't know where I was going with that actually. I'm trying to think, but nothing happens. And I thought I had a point like to like well, okay, so. As a anarcho-syndicalist, I would like do things for the collective because like it's like everything that benefits the collective can also like benefit me individually as well too. At least that's the way I see it as well too. So
yeah, it's more in terms of demographics where there's this stereotype where the people who are sort of on the further parts of the right, who they don't like certain minorities, they don't like trans people, they don't like the LGBTQ plus or whatever, and the hypocrisy they have, like when they start talking about race, so they might be uncomfortable talking about race as a white person, so they think I'm an individual, so this person who did something racist, that has nothing to do with me, but yet they see someone who's like a trans person who's not a very nice person, and all of a sudden that person is part of a group. So there's kind of a selective changing of hats or whatever. So on one hand, it's the individualist hat, we're all individuals, but on the other hand, there's a collectivist mindset being projected onto other people that they might not like.
I think it speaks to the fundamentally incompatible worldview of many positions over there. I do think it's interesting though to go back to what you said a second ago, Troy, about the there's quite a lot of right-wing people who would call themselves right-wing who don't like Trump and who don't like what's going on, and it speaks to the fact that most people don't like Trump. For as much as they like to say, yeah, we're the majority, we won the election, like they got in 70-80 million votes, which is 25% of America's population, and a lot of most non-voters don't vote because the options are like Trump, or they can't get to the ballot box because of democratic interference and such. And I think
it's a Tuesday night before an election is happening, and they work that day.
Exactly right. And I think that also the way we think about politics is a little bit skewed too, because there's a lot of people who would probably say, yeah, I've got some conservative views, I'm right wing, I don't think that, they've grown up in like Red Scare America, so in their mind communism is the USSR, gulags, Kim Jong-il and such. But then they say, well, we should have healthcare and we should have affordable transport systems, and maybe it'd be better if a few billionaires paid their taxes, which are all clearly ideas which take you more towards the left than the right. They're all ideas which require interventions upon the market and upon capitalist discourse. But they're living in a place that, or they have the sort of, they don't have the language to say it in. And I think that's why it's important to continually push left in all sort of avenues and forms, because the things which people want aren't necessarily what they will say outright, or what they, that will sound condescending, have the language to describe. Because you say, they're sort of the reason, like Fox News puts so much money into, like, every time there's a Democrat politician, oh yeah, they're a socialist, they're going to bankrupt the country, it's all bad and wrong, is because if they talk openly about what is being offered, of course they're going to, who's going to say no to, yeah, let's actually put up the amount of money you get from the government to survive. Let's make it so that kids aren't going into school lunch debt, which is a phrase that shouldn't even be a thing. He's going to go against that.
It's kind of like the thing where it's just like being the right like one on the like propaganda wing so well that like when you poll people's like, do you like Obamacare? They was like, no, Obamacare is terrible. It should be like get rid of. It's like, do you like the Affordable Care Act? I was like, oh, I love the Affordable Care Act. I was able to get healthcare because of that as well too. It's just like people don't realize that it's the same thing. How to fix that? I would love to know how to fix that as well too. It's just like, on an individual basis, some people like just receiving surveys, like Miles Gray of like at the Daily Zeitgeist has said like got a survey one time and from someone and that's like, oh, you're from Los Angeles? Oh my God, has the Los Angeles been like overrun by like the people? Is everything is on fire? It's like, okay, no, it's not as well too. But I saw this like car on fire. It's like, yeah, there was one mill on fire as well too. I thought there was multiple. No, they probably use the same one over and over and over again. Oh, okay, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Dallas. Like, okay, so if there's like a car fire or like a protest happen in like this one block in Dallas, and you're like several blocks down or a dozen blocks down, would you notice that, or would it seem like the whole city is going like into chaos or like that? Oh, I get you right, and I never thought of it like that. Is what to, but to try to like deprogram people like out of the realizing that they're being fed propaganda by Fox News or other like right-wing media, so like that is time consuming as well too. Or anyone that thinks that like trans people are like the devil, or like the drag queens at like the reading time hour at the library are like kidnapping kids for like a sex cult as well too. It's just like it's just exhausting to having like a conversation with people about trans issues and when they never met a trans person or non-binary person ever.
I mean, a lot of that, what you're saying about the cities then, is we have the exact same thing in the UK, right? Oh, London is been taken over by the Muslims. Oh, you can't go in areas of Birmingham, it's just too dangerous, but it's just gone wild. And a lot of the motivating factors of that are partly just racism, like there's more non-white people in those places, so they get spoken about in a way which is, from misinformation, just outright, just blatant racism. And then also there's an element of not getting the political nature of it. Cities don't get the funding because they're not given the resources to fund the schools, transport, job networks and such you need. And then the factors that go into that make there more crime, which is not like gangs with machine guns driving around in trucks and such, but shoplifting because people are poor, or people's mental health struggles which haven't gone addressed, overspilling and turning into incidents and such, which then isn't met with the funding for those resources, but then an increase in police presence, many of whom are also racist and don't have the training to de-escalate, but just are given guns or a new squad car or whatever, and just go in and smash stuff up. And then you get the situation you have now. But it's also critical to say as well that no, crime is not out of control in these places. Like, it's better than it has been for, if you compare it to pre-welfare state, it's miles better than it used to be. I don't know how you can look at a place like London pre-World War II and try and claim, the welfare state has been such a disaster. It's massively improved things. It's the way capitalism has devolved and decayed, which is the problem with these places. And, again, to stress, racism. If they weren't able to point a camera at like a diverse neighbourhood and say, yeah, look at the dangerous people walking around, they wouldn't care. It's why the selling point of MAGA as well is that they get to enact racist visions of what was happening 100 years ago, where the KKK or racist police plants would go and lynch and kill black people. They're doing the same thing in a different form with ICE raids.
Yeah.
Go on, Troy.
I mean, if it wasn't for because with Australia, it's like I'm not advocating for like completely open borders, but I think that like as a result, I can speak for Australia anyway, that with the immigration policy, that's enabled a lot of people to come in, especially in my profession, because I see a lot of people who they might have moved from Africa, and it's a very diverse kind of workplace, but they've and these professions, we're short of people, in it could be nursing and disability, and these are very noble professions, and that's the hallmark of I guess an outstanding country, is how we look after the people around us. And so that so I'm obviously going to support immigration just by what I've seen or whatever. It's not that I'm not seeing this big increase in crime or anything like that. It's got like you've got people who and the clients that I work with in the whole disability sector, it's like they would be heartbroken if all of a sudden we deported everyone back to their country of origin and we were just left with people who all look the same, because sometimes a lot of the clients, like the first thing they recognize is skin color, so they want to see a variety of different people. And in fact, one of them that I work with very, very closely, like he actually, even though he's a white person, he has a positive identification or a positive association with some of the African men, because he sees us, because he's obviously worked with somebody who looked like that, and they had a very good rapport and he had a good experience. So now he's associating skin color with a positive experience, and so his heart would be broken if he didn't have any like African men to support him.
Yeah, so many great points there. Like the fact that immigrants are the backbone of all the economies we're speaking about: Australia, America, Britain, all Western Europe. The fact that it would be a disaster if the full extent of the racist sort of anti-immigrant rhetorics were followed through with. I'd go a step further and say that people should have freedom of movement, and the reason they come to Western nations is because of the vast wealth inequality in the globe. Like, it's not as though people think, yeah, let's just come and loot the countries. They want to live the same as everyone else. They shouldn't be met with loads and loads of barriers to do so. And then I will, my inner socialist, borders, just a product of the capitalist world. We don't necessarily need them. But,
and this
Go on, Troy.
Yeah, and this it's not so much about like a difference of cultures. Like those cultural barriers aren't. As a matter of fact, we probably have more in common with people who move to particular Western countries than we would with each other. Like, because I know a lot of there's some African people who they might be a little bit more Christian in nature, and so people make the mistake, they think it's one big religion, but no, some of the countries are actually Christian. So if you were sort of a middle of the road conservative or a Christian, then that would be you'd sort of be very welcoming. You wouldn't take necessarily a right-wing stance. That's why I say to a lot of people who might be middle of the road, they might be Christian, they might be undecided, that, you know, maybe, you know, you should embrace some of the leftist policies like healthcare and.
Yeah, Teglin, you were you going to say something about immigration just then?
Yeah, that's just an example of systemic racism against immigrants. Is that the Treasury Department, with these lists of sanctioned countries, makes it very difficult for immigrants to send money back home, because they might be sending to a sanctioned area that banks cannot wire money to, or if they try to use a financial service, that they might lose their account. And it kind of goes back to the whole idea of financial surveillance state that we live in under capitalism, but it particularly affects immigrants and anyone that is even trying to support solidarity movements in other countries, that those transactions are heavily surveilled and frequently result in innocent people being caught up in enforcement actions by the Treasury Department.
Yeah, people like if for some reason they're just anti-immigrant for like whatever reason as well too, it's kind of like how like the new atheist movement is kind of like brought on from like after 9/11. Most of that the new atheist movement is like powered by like just like anti-Muslim bigotry as for too. They just assume that like, oh, the Muslims like threw in the two planes in Twin Towers because they hate our freedoms. Like, no, they actually like kind of look into like, oh, why? Not saying that's justified for like those actions as for too, but like the reason why is like, okay, how many bases does the USA have like in all the countries in the world? There's like 190 countries, and the USA has bases in like 130 of them as well too. And like, why do people are coming from Guatemala to like come here as well too? We destabilized Guatemala. The reason the Benin Republic came from like when we couped their like president in like 1954, so that like the United Fruit Company, still around, now known as Ciabatta, can get cheap bananas. And like, so it's like, if you don't want to people just like come here to these countries, don't coup the other countries as well too.
Yeah, and that link's really nicely to what Troy was saying earlier about generalizations, right? Mm-hmm. Muslims must all answer for the actions of Al-Qaeda, but how many far-right and white nationalist attacks have there been on domestic terrorists and such, and overseas?
Oh, no, Owen! They were all lone wolves. So it's like white person that's like a terrorist act, it's a lone wolf. But if it's a Muslim person, then it's just like, it's like Allah's will or something.
Yeah,
it's like the not all men. Like I'm a good man, and it's like not all white people. Like I've got a black friend. Yeah, but then the minute the shoe's on the other foot, it's a selective choice of individual versus group thing.
Yeah.
Also, it's like most regular people, as it were, to have like kind of incoherent politics, because like when a natural disaster happened as well too, in certain places as well too, you will see neighbors coming out to helping the other neighbors as well too, and yet like, if you like actually figure out like who those like people who have like voted for, they would voted for like someone that wanted to take away trans rights, but they were helping their trans neighbor because it was their neighbor as well too. Maybe they voted for the president who's going to take away trans rights because of like, hey, I get to pay less taxes as well too. Because that's honestly true for like most people. Is most people don't think about politics; they think it's like a hobby as well too. And
most people don't vote.
Yeah, that's true. Most people don't vote because, like, sometimes it's like, okay, so it'd be like Stalin or Hitler. I'm going to be poor either way. Or sometimes, like Anaconda over what he did, like canvassing in the 2024 election, as for two, he knocked on someone's door and like the guy would say, "Dude, it's my Sunday. It's my one day off. I work 6 days a week. I just wanted to like hit back, relax, and then watch football as well too. American handshake football, but whatever." And it's just like, oh damn, he doesn't want to like think about like blue team or red team in this political horse race as well too. He just wants to ignore all that to like find relax because the capitalist system has like beat him down as well in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and that links back again to what Teglin was saying. If people can be involved in their lives more through collective organisation, work solidarity, unions, even just being in the community, doing things with your fellow neighbour, that can get people more involved and more easily able to see that the stuff about immigrants is nonsense. They have struggles too. The fact that you were saying, Teglin, it's so hard for them to just do the basic functions everyone else takes for granted should be something that's spoken about more. Be it financial actions, employment availability, legal status, it's just nonsense. And it also contradicts the very tenets of the free market and capitalism. They go on about how much they love, we should all be able to sell our labour how we like, we're capitalists, blah, blah. But here you have people who are also trying to do that, who are stopped for arbitrary reasons. And yet many of them are completely happy with it. I will say that my voice is starting to crack and go, and my as lovely as it is spending time with you three and Lapis when she was here as well, I feel like I'm not 100% at the moment, so we may slowly veneer this to a finish line of sorts, if that is okay.
Yep, that's great. My final thoughts.
You've managed to do a good job of keeping your voice for that long, because I wouldn't even know that you had any vocal strain, whereas me, my voice is always going to be gravelly no matter what.
You're very
because I smoke too much.
No, you sound fine as well, Troy. Okay?
Thanks.
Troy, you have an excellent voice for a blues musician or a blues singer.
we have a nice range of accents and such for the panel today. But no, thank you everyone for coming on. I will be sure to put any links to channels and such, or articles, blogs, and the like in the comments and description and such. Any closing words, everyone?
Don't forget to practice self-care. It's a chaotic world. It's something like that, and even some people can only do so much as well too. At least take care of yourself as well too, because if you're also don't give all of yourself to the cause as well too, because if you can't take care of yourself, something like that, then you're no good to the cause either as well too. So mutual aid and praxis as well too. Take care, get to know your local community, take care of them. Yeah, that's it.
Teglin, Troy?
Thank you for a wonderful discussion about topics from immigrant issues that we're looking at to AI surveillance. We've covered a lot of ground today, and hope to see you all again.
Absolutely. And Troy?
Okay, thank you for having me again. Even though I'm kind of the least, I think politically I'm a little bit different from where everyone else is. But as I always say, whatever it is, you just try to live every day according to what your convictions are, and that comes to your everyday interactions. It's the way you treat people, servers in a restaurant, or someone who serves you at the gas station or whatever. I always think, each person that you come across during the day may have had the shittiest day of their lives, and if you can do something kind for everyone that you see, you might have made someone's day a little bit better. Kindness is not going to solve everything, but it might be a good start.
I think it would solve a lot of things in this planet at this moment in time. Right, thanks everyone for listening. Hopefully we will do another one at some point in the future. And yes, be well everyone. Take care all.